Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to A Course in Miracles 365 Awakening to Love. I'm Tomas Garza. And, well, I'm going to start today with a special announcement, and I'll end today with the same special announcement. So, those of you who are just tuning in, you may know that I have some special guests that join me here on the live stream. A lot of the time, it's just me. It's short, it's 15 to 20 minutes, but I'm happy to announce that tomorrow, Terry Angel of Enlightened World Network, Terry, who is currently in Sedona, Arizona, on her nationwide tour of the United States, is going to be joining me as my special guest. So I want to lead off the live stream today with that announcement. This is something that we're both looking forward to. Now, if you know Terry or you're familiar with Terry, you can find her in many different places here on Enlightened World Network. Terry has been a student of A Course in Miracles for over 30 years, which means a lot of experience. It inevitably means lots of workbook lessons that she didn't practice, probably according to the directions, which has been the case with me. Yeah, I've forgotten the day's idea a lot of times. Happens, right? This also means that Terry has had some profound experiences with this course. And I know that she has because we've talked a little bit about that. Anyway, 30 years. So I have been a student of the course for 8 years and I have had profound experiences. So I'm very curious to see what Terry has to tell us tomorrow. Now, I can give you the time of all of that. In North America, this is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So, Terry will be joining me tomorrow as my special guest. So don't miss this. This is going to be fun. And I'm going to have her, she's probably watching this. Terry, you're probably watching this right now. I'm going to have you come back more than once because I know that we're going to have fun tomorrow. And I know that everybody that tunes in is going to learn a lot and walk away absolutely enthralled, and they're going to walk away feeling really great about their own spiritual path, their own walk, their own practice, and connected, more connected too. So there you go. Yeah, we're going to have you more than once. All right. So that's tomorrow, guys. And I'll announce it again here at the end. Now, what I want to do today is launch right into the idea for the day, which is from the workbook. That's what we're going through here. It's workbook lesson 79. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Right. Yeah. Lots to say about this one. Yes. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Some of these ideas, if you haven't noticed, are real obvious sounding. Why do we need them? Because it's the patently obvious that we overlook, isn't it? It is the absolutely 100% sense obvious things that we need to have pointed out to us many different times and in many different ways because we overlook them. How do we do this? We get caught up in daily life. Honestly, right? Through no fault of our own, we get caught up, we get swept away in daily life, in chores, in tasks, in email, in phone calls, Zooms, oh, I don't know, gardening, going to the store, I don't know, laundry, whatever it looks like, Netflix, YouTube, who knows? We get swept away. And the very basics of who we really are very basic truth, isn't something that even rises to our conscious experience why we're off focused on something else. So here we go, right? Let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved. Goes without saying almost, right? But it doesn't go without saying, does it? So here we go. Let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved. If you don't know what it is, how can you solve it? We can feel that there's a problem. hence our attraction to spiritual practice, hence our attraction to personal growth, hence our attraction to self-help, yeah? We know, we can intuitively feel that there is more to it than just the cycle of get up, check email, eat, sleep, get up, email, Twitter feed, eat, sleep, get up, check email, eat, sleep, Twitter feed, pay bills, do a couple loads of laundry, go to sleep, rinse, repeat. There's more to it than that. We know this instinctively deep down, or we wouldn't be here watching this live. I mean, you wouldn't be attracted to spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you. There's only one problem, and it's actually, according to A Course in Miracles and according to, well, truth, if you allow yourself to experience it, it's already been solved. There's one problem, it's been solved. We have the solution to it. If it's already solved already and you don't know what the problem is, then of course you're going to be confused and you'll wander around looking for the problem in other places. Like we've been talking about, we look for the problem outside ourselves. We try to find answers to our own sense that there's more to life through different things in the world. We try to find answers to our problems in material possessions. We try to find answers to our problems in sex. We try to find answers to our problems in food and maybe in some cases, alcohol, drugs, lots of stuff. Maybe it's a new TV show to binge watch on Netflix, whatever it is. We're looking for happiness outside of us. These outside objects, outside things, sometimes even people, can bring us happiness, but it's temporary. It's fleeting. It's not lasting. It's not lasting. And we find that it's not the answer that we've been looking for. If you don't recognize the problem to solve, you'll wander around confused. And that's what we do in the world. And if you feel like you're currently wandering around confused, no problem. Right? I mean, that's absolutely not a problem at all because we all do that. And then we solve one problem, another one comes up. It's an experience that's all too common, isn't it? We'll think that, curing a certain physical ill is going to create lasting happiness for us. When we do it, something else pops up. Yeah. And if we think that if we pay off a certain debt, that's going to solve all of our problems, pay it off, boom, there's a new bill in the mail. And what this does over the course of time is really quite profound, and it's really important because this is where a lot of our feelings of helplessness come from in the world, isn't it? It's where a lot of our feelings of inadequacy and lack stem. They stem right from this fact that we're looking to solve multiple different problems without really knowing which one we really need to focus on. So what problem is that? It's separation. That's it. That's it. As in separation from God, separation from other people, separation in general. Then the problem has already been solved because, in fact, there is no separation of any kind. Who you are has never been sullied. It's never been corrupted. I mean, the physical body can be corrupted. It's not you. And if you haven't heard that assertion before, you'll hear it again in A Course in Miracles throughout. It appears in many, many different places, including in the workbook for students. And we'll get to a lot of those ideas in probably a few months' time. So those specific assertions are coming. And if you've heard this before, in some form of spirituality, yeah, this is the way A Course talks about it, is we're not a body. And you can say, well, yeah, I am. I can feel this. I can feel my nose if I touch it. If I do some tapping, I can feel that, right? Okay, sure, yeah. Yes, the body is a communication mechanism for what? For extending love. No, you can give it to that purpose, or you can extend fear. Right? One is of God, the other's of the ego. That's the choice that we make. So the problem, in fact, is thinking that we're separate from our source, from our creator, if you prefer, from the universe, right? From your higher self. It's not separate. So the problems appear in many forms, from a past due bill to a flat tire, to um, too much to drink, maybe, I don't know, too much to eat, through indigestion. I mean, you name it. The list of what we consider to be our problems to be solved in the world go on and on and on. The list just continues. And it only appears that there's a lot of problems when separation is the only one. We recognize it. We can look for the answer where it's waiting for us, which of course is within. So it's one thing to hear this and to have it make sense to you on an intellectual level. That's good, but it's not enough. Why is that? Well, because we're not our so-called rational thinking mind. If we're not the body, we're also not our rational thinking mind. We're actually something else completely. So it's one thing to understand these ideas intellectually, and it is important. However, what's more important is that you have the experience of this idea and all of the ideas. That is why the workbook calls for what it says are practice periods, which are meditations. They are prayers, they're practices. This one today is very important because it's a request. It's a request to be shown what the problem really is, so it can be solved. Now, I've said several times it's separation. So, for the purposes of this exercise, we adopt what in Zen Buddhism is called beginner's mind. Now, what is that? It's the mind of a beginner. It, like it says, it is approaching this exercise without assuming that you already know the answer, without any preconceived notions of already knowing what's going to happen and expecting that to happen. So in other words, leaving our preconceived notions and all of our internal explanations, our expectations aside, you approach a situation fresh with what is called a beginner's mind. So I invite you to approach today's idea with a beginner's mind and go through the exercise as it's talked about in the workbook and ask. Ask your teacher, ask your guide, your guides, whatever that looks like for you. Ask to be shown what the problem is so that it can be solved. You may then be shown or told that this may come to you as a voice. It might be a man's voice. It might be a woman's voice. It might come as a feeling. It might be a sound. The answer can come in many different forms. What's important is that you ask and do your very best to approach this with a beginner's mind, not assuming that you already know the answer. It creates a fresh slate upon which the answer can be written, so to speak. In other words, provided for you. It's very profound. It's very profound. Now, if you do this and you discover, well, that you don't hear or feel or receive anything at all, it's still important that you do it, because all that's necessary here, by the way, you're not failing. You're never failing, and you're not doing it wrong if you do the exercise and ask to be shown what the problem is so it can be solved. Ask that. If nothing comes, you're still doing it right. Why? Because all that is asked of us is that we just present the question. It's only necessary that we retain some sort of doubt. This is beautiful doubt and skepticism, yeah? Some sort of doubt, some shred of doubt that about the reality of our version of the problem. In other words, if we question what we consider to be our own reality, even if it's just for a millisecond, that's enough. That's enough. Now, in Course in Miracles terminology, the Holy Spirit, in other words, the voice for God, the universal separation, needs only a millisecond, a fraction of a second, or just a tiny gap, a little bit of space to flood in and give you the answer. Just a little willingness is all that it takes. And if you show up with a beginner's mind, ask, and don't appear to receive anything in response, that's okay. Just come and bring just that little shred of doubt, that the reality of your version is true. If you're, for example, doubting that happiness can be found, that the problem is not enough money, okay? Do you doubt that that's true? Do you question it? This is an example, just an example. All that's necessary is to entertain some doubt about the reality of your version of what your problems are. So if it's money, okay, shred it out. If it's a physical, something to do with the physical body, let's say you want to gain weight or lose weight. Yeah, let's say you want to do something different for work, whatever it is, just bring that little shred of doubt. That is a little willingness, which is all that the Holy Spirit needs to rush in and show you what the answer is. Now, of course, we've said the answer is separation. That is the problem. If we don't recognize what the problem is, we cannot find the answer to it, because we'll be looking for it somewhere else. And it's very important to go through today's exercise, because spirituality is about experience. It's not enough just to intellectually grasp that separation is the problem, okay? That may make sense to you, but until you have been shown that yourself, and hear it with your own ears, see it with your own eyes, feel it with your own body, with your own gut, your heart, until you've had that experience, well, then it's just intellectual understanding, which is not ultimately enough. It's important, yes, but this is about experience. So today's workbook exercise is about experience, and it's very critical that we get out of our own way. It's very important that we have a beginner's mind, as we say, and leave our preconceived notions to the side. So important for us that we do that. So let's see who's tuning in here today. This is always a lot of fun for me, and we've had people joining from literally all over the world here, including this week. So thank you all for tuning in. There's a couple of folks here, and thank you all for joining me. I want to point out here before we wrap up today that Terry Angel is going to be joining me tomorrow on the live stream. I do have special guests, so Terry Angel is going to be joining us from Sedona, Arizona. All right. Now I'm here in Phoenix. That's only 2 hours away, but Terry is traveling around the United States on a tour, a peace tour. She's doing land blessings and reconnecting with a lot of people. In fact, when she passed through Phoenix a couple of months ago. My wife, Cindy, and I got to meet her in person, which was a real treat. Now, she'll be joining me virtually tomorrow on this live stream to talk about her experience with A Course in Miracles. And it's extensive, guys, 30 years plus. So you will absolutely want to tune in to that. So that's tomorrow, 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 Eastern time in North America. And you can compare your local times with that if you're in Europe or Asia, elsewhere in the world. It's going to be fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. All right. So thank you all for tuning in and for joining me here today. If you have questions or comments, feel welcome to leave them here in the comment thread, and I will get to them today. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great Friday, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.